Since the dawn of time, few forces have shaped humanity more than fire. It gave us warmth. It gave us light. It cooked our food, protected us from predators, and eventually forged the path to civilization itself. But fire is more than just a tool. It's a symbol of creation and destruction, of danger and discovery. Today, we'll journey through the entire story of fire, from the first natural blazes that swept across a wild planet to the roaring furnaces and engines that built the modern world. So sit back and imagine the glow of the first flame that changed everything. Long before humans existed, fire was already part of Earth's story. Scientists believe wildfires have been burning for over 420 million years, ever since plants began to grow on land and oxygen filled the atmosphere. The earliest fires left blackened traces in ancient rocks, showing that even in the prehistoric world, lightning, volcanoes, and meteor impacts could ignite vast forests and grasslands. These ancient wildfires weren't just destructive. They were part of the planet's natural balance. They cleared dead vegetation, recycled nutrients into the soil, and helped some species evolve to depend on fire. Even today, certain plants, like the eucalyptus and the lodgepole pine, actually need heat to release their seeds. Fire, it seems, was written into the DNA of life itself. But for millions of years, it burned without witness, until one species learned to control it. Imagine being one of our ancestors, a member of Homo erectus, about 1 million years ago. You live on the open plains of Africa. The nights are cold, the darkness full of danger. Then after a thunderstorm, you see a tree struck by lightning, a glowing, crackling miracle. At first, the fire is terrifying. The heat, the smoke, the noise, everything about it screams danger. But curiosity wins over fear. Our ancestors began to approach the flames, cautiously collecting burning branches and carrying them back to their shelters. They learned that by feeding these flames with dry grass or wood, they could keep them alive. Evidence from places like Wonderwork Cave in South Africa shows charred bones, burnt wood, and ash layers dating back nearly 1 million years. These are the fingerprints of our first mastery over fire. The first time humans didn't just fear nature, but began to shape it. Still, for hundreds of thousands of years, people relied on natural fires. When a flame went out, they had to find a new one, sparked by lightning or lava. Then came the true breakthrough, the ability to make fire on demand. Archaeologists believe that around 400,000 years ago, humans learned to create fire using friction or percussion. By rubbing sticks together or striking stones like flint and pyrite, they could summon fire from nothing but their own hands. That simple spark changed everything. With fire, humans extended the day beyond sunset. They migrated into colder climates, surviving ice and snow. They cooked their food, making it softer, safer, and more nutritious. Cooking wasn't just a convenience, it changed our biology. Cooked food gave us more energy, allowing our brains to grow larger. In a very real sense, fire didn't just warm our bodies, it built our minds. Around the fire, people gathered, shared food, and told stories. It became the heart of early human society, a circle of safety in a world of darkness. Anthropologists believe that the act of gathering around a flame helped develop language, cooperation, and even imagination. And so, fire became both a physical and cultural center of human life. As time passed, humans began to use fire in new ways. They burned land to drive animals during hunts or to clear ground for planting, the earliest form of agriculture. They discovered that fire could harden wooden tools and bake clay into pottery, and eventually, they learned that it could transform rocks into metals. By around 6,000 years ago, humans had entered the age of metallurgy. In ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt, people used clay furnaces to smelt copper, then bronze, and later iron. These discoveries changed everything. Weapons became stronger, tools more efficient, and civilizations began to rise. Fire became not only a tool of survival, but a force of creation. It was used to build cities, forge swords, and bake the very bricks of temples and homes. But people also saw fire as something divine. In Greek mythology, Prometheus stole fire from the gods to give to humankind, a gift that brought both enlightenment and punishment. In Hinduism, Agni, the god of fire, carried prayers from earth to heaven. The ancient Persians tended sacred flames that burned continuously for generations. Even today, the Olympic flame is lit to symbolize continuity, strength, and human spirit. Across cultures, fire was the link between the human and the divine, a reminder of both our power and our limits. As centuries passed, the mastery of fire spread across the world. The invention of charcoal allowed for hotter, longer-lasting fires, making ironworking possible. In China, by the 9th century, alchemists experimenting with sulfur and saltpeter discovered gunpowder, one of the most world-changing uses of fire in human history. Gunpowder gave rise to fireworks, which celebrated emperors and gods, and also to cannons and rifles, which reshaped warfare forever. In the Middle Ages, fire powered the blacksmith's forge, the baker's oven, and the glassblower's flame, but it was also feared. Towns built from wood were tinderboxes waiting for disaster. The Great Fire of London in 1666 destroyed over 13,000 homes, leaving the city in ashes. But from that tragedy came progress. New building codes, wider streets, and the shift toward brick and stone architecture. It was a pattern repeated again and again. Destruction leading to renewal. Fire was both our servant and our master. Then, in the 18th century, a new kind of fire was born, one trapped inside machines. The Industrial Revolution began when inventors learned to turn heat into motion. The steam engine, perfected by James Watt, transformed coal's burning energy into power that drove locomotives, ships, and factories. For the first time, humanity had mechanized fire. It no longer just cooked or melted or warmed. It moved the world. Coal became the lifeblood of the 19th century. It fueled ironworks, powered trains, and lit cities with gas lamps. The world's first industrial cities, Manchester, Birmingham, Pittsburgh, grew around the glow of furnaces. But the cost was high. Pollution, black skies, and the first great waves of industrial smog. Still, the promise of fire seemed endless. It was fire that powered the first internal combustion engines, leading to the age of the automobile. It was fire that sent steamships across oceans, and later, rockets into space. In 1879, Thomas Edison created the electric light bulb, a form of controlled heat, a flame without smoke. Yet even electricity was born from fire, because the power plants that supplied it burned coal and oil. By the 20th century, fire had transformed human civilization beyond recognition. It was in our homes, our machines, our cities. It cooked our food, powered our cars, and lit our nights. But now, its nature began to change again. Scientists split the atom and unlocked nuclear energy, the fire of the stars themselves. With this discovery came both hope and horror. Nuclear reactors could power cities for decades, but the same reactions, unleashed in bombs, could erase them in seconds. Fire had always been a double-edged gift. Now, in the atomic age, that truth was undeniable. Yet fire also carried us further than ever before. In 1969, a rocket, powered by burning fuel, carried humans to the moon. The fire that once flickered in a cave now blazed beneath spacecraft, lifting us beyond the planet that first gave us flame. And while we reached for the stars, fire still burned closer to home. In the forests of California, Australia, and the Amazon, wildfires grew fiercer. Sometimes natural, sometimes human-made. The same energy that built our world now threatened to unmake parts of it. We learned that by burning coal, oil, and gas, we were heating the planet, changing its climate, melting its ice, and fueling more fires. It's a paradox. The element that once ensured our survival now challenges it. But humanity is still evolving. Scientists are searching for cleaner, safer ways to harness energy. Solar power, wind, geothermal heat, and even nuclear fusion, which mimics the fire at the heart of the sun. These new fires may light our future without consuming our home. Still, in a very real sense, every modern spark, every engine, every power line, every candle, carries within it the memory of that first flame 1,000,000 years ago. Fire has been our constant companion. From lightning-struck forests to bronze forges, from steam engines to rocket thrusters. It shaped our bodies, our societies, and our imagination. It inspired myths, powered revolutions, and defined what it means to be human. Every age of history could be defined by how it used fire. The fire of survival, the fire of creation, the fire of industry, and perhaps now the fire of responsibility. Maybe that's why we're still drawn to it, to the warmth, the flicker, the mystery, because in its light we see not only our past but our potential. From the first spark struck by our ancestors to the stars we now reach for, fire has always been more than flame. It's the story of transformation itself. Fire made us human. And the question that remains, 1 million years later, is whether we can keep that flame alive without letting it consume us.